Let's explore every possible scenario that could occur for this investment. What happens for the investors if ORW do not raise the $6 million as expected? Fundraise will continue until the amount is raised. This has no consequences for the investors, as funds raised are secured by the green grow cannabis field. What happens for the investors if a large investor decides to invest the full amount? In this case, we would simply close the subscription to new investors until the next series. How does the company anticipate the possibility of a key executive leaving the company? We do not anticipate such an event, since Green Grow's CEO is Dr. Brylin, who is also the owner of El Paso Farm, and therefore the founder of all operations in South Africa. How is the crop insured in case of bad weather conditions? Weather conditions in South Africa are ideal for the cultivation of medical cannabis. The seeding, growing, cultivation and drying of the crop is highly controlled and conducted inside specially built greenhouses or facilities. South Africa is known to be a country with a high level of insecurity. How are the investors' assets protected? Green Grow is secured on El Paso Farm, a well-established agribusiness that poses no inherent security risk. Financially, the market operates in US dollars, as does the investment. So there is no currency risk either. What happens if Green Grow doesn't manage to sell its crop? Green Grow already has offtake agreements for the sale of crop in place. Additionally, its ability to essentially grow the production, as it can cultivate minimum 4 crops per annum, allows the company to take orders for specific types or strains before planting, utilizing a pre-sold model. What happens if there is another lockdown or COVID wave? COVID does not and did not impact the movement of goods, rather the movement of people. Agribusiness continued and shall continue throughout. What happens if there is a change in my personal situation, divorce or death? In case of divorce, the question would be resolved according to the wedding contract. In practice, if both spouses have made the purchase of the investment, they would commonly decide which of the two would be the owner. If only one of them has made the purchase, he or she would remain the owner. Upon premature death of the investor, the dividends will pay out to the estate. What happens if I change country? The investor must then ask a tax advisor what the tax regime of the dividend payment is in the new country of residence. What happens if I want to make a new investment after the first one? This is possible, as long as the series are not fully subscribed. What happens in case of a new financial crisis? The investment is not correlated to the financial markets. This has no influence. What happens if there is a change in regulation that restricts the medical cannabis market? The only changes in the regulations are the opening up of restrictions rather than any reversals. This is shown by the reclassification of cannabis at state levels in the US, soon to be followed by federal changes under the MORE Act. At the present time, individual countries are globally undertaking their pilot medical cannabis schemes, and indeed at the UN level, where cannabis was reclassified. Thus, the movement is towards a fully international framework of the removal of its prohibition. What happens if the company doesn't make profits? The profitability within the operation is obvious. The average production costs are 60 cents per gram, while our market selling point is at $2 per gram. Naturally, the market pricing does fluctuate. However, the highlighted price is actually a conservative low point, with specific strains reaching $3 to $4. What happens if the company goes bankrupt? The company has zero external debt, making this scenario highly improbable. In such a rare circumstance, however, assets, contracts, equipment, facilities, and indeed the 146 tons per annum license would be available to liquidate shareholders. What happens to my investment if the company doesn't manage to get listed in 5 years? ORW has employed specific partners as part of its corporate governance, Maddox Legal as legal advisors, and London Court as its FCA advisor, who are well versed in taking companies to listing. The process, albeit not a formality, is down to the company's governance, reporting, and accounting in meeting the requirements for listing, which is undertaken by the correct professional partners. We do not envisage this happening, except in the event of a takeover or acquisition, whereby the investors are exited in any case. What happens if I need my money before the exit? We are open to re-offer the shares to the market. For instance, in case this is a Series A shareholder, it will be anticipated to be relatively straightforward, as they will be holding a discounted share when Series B or C shares are being issued. If you have any more questions, please contact your advisor.